anything you like?
No.
What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the devilishly dank Dr. Disaster, and yesterday was the state of play featuring the upcoming 007 First Light gameplay trailer, and it was a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, the gameplay looks pretty solid, but on the other hand, the Bond girls, if we can even call them that, have very clearly been designed with the intention of not being good-looking female characters.
You're ugly!
Yeah, the gameplay in First Light looks an awful lot like a combination of Uncharted and Hitman, which makes sense since the developer of the game is IO Interactive, the makers of the Hitman franchise. The problem is that it looks so similar to what we are accustomed to seeing in Hitman that people are calling it a Hitman reskin, which is an accusation that IO appears to be trying to deny.
No.
There were also some pretty glaring performance issues in this trailer that need to be cleaned up. That being said, the game is still about half a year away from release, and IO Interactive are pretty competent developers, so I suspect they will get all of that ironed out in time. After all, this isn't exactly Ubisoft that we're talking about here. They likely will not release this as buggy slop.
What the hell is this?
No, for me, the issue that I'm having with this game is definitely the character designs. Bond girls are supposed to be really good looking. I'm not worried about Moneypenny or M being plain looking, though the fact that they are doing the race swap thing with these characters is disappointing. But anyhow, there will be a lot of people who overlook the uglification of these characters because the gameplay looks great and they will buy this game up. IO Interactive generally makes pretty fun games after all, and I'm having a hard time faulting them for this. As Pirate Nation over on X wrote here, the women of the new James Bond game, the Amazon era, is starting off as expected. And yes, this is most likely a directive handed down from Amazon, but in reality, I think Natalia from GoldenEye 64 has more appeal than whatever it is that we're seeing with this game. So, while a bunch of people will certainly buy this game up, for me, these characters made it DOA.
You've killed me!
Good.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Also, I've started uploading content onto Rumble, so make sure to follow me over there, and don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But let's take a look at this state of play trailer for First Light. The game definitely has a lot going for it, which will cause the cultural auto intake crowd to just buy the game up unthinkingly. 007, after all, has a history of great video games. GoldenEye, Nightfire, Agent Under Fire, From Russia with Love, those were all a hell of a lot of fun, and IO Interactive is a respected developer. For fans of stealth games, it doesn't get much better than Hitman, at least in my opinion. They've had a few stinkers in their day, but most of their games are pretty solid, so with all of that in mind, if there are people out there planning to buy this game, despite the female characters looking more like Bond androgynous blobs rather than Bond girls. But yeah, if someone said to me they were still planning to buy this game because the gameplay looks good, I sincerely would not hold it against them. I get it. We're all here to game, after all. But If you are against the feminist push in video games, where they go out of their way to make every female character look like a dude in some desperate attempt to blur the distinction between men and women, as if we are all exactly the same, if you are against that, then I recommend against supporting this game. And honestly, it pains me to say this, because I have loved the James Bond franchise for all of my life. Brosnan is my favorite Bond, though Timothy Dalton had my favorite movies. License to Kill is a great frickin' film. And yeah, to top it off, if you can't tell by now, I'm a big fan of the Hitman franchise, and by extension, I really like IO Interactive. Hell, I also really like the Uncharted games a lot, having gotten platinum trophies for all of those games except for Part 4, which I'm getting close to finishing. 007 First Light gameplay is being compared to Uncharted, but according to this article here from Insider Gaming, the game feels very much like a 007 reskin of a Hitman game. The article says, I had the pleasure of attending a 007 First Light preview at Gamescom, where I got a glimpse of live gameplay of the highly anticipated upcoming spy action thriller from IO Interactive. The team from IO walked us through a brief mission to locate a target at a gala while undercover, but soon fast-forwarded to some intense car chase scenes. And then down here it says, my 007 First Light preview opened with the IO Interactive squad setting the scene for the game. They explained that this is a brash, young, and somewhat inexperienced James Bond, fresh out of the military and working into what will become a legendary career as one of the most recognizable spy characters to ever emerge. It was easy enough to see that concept surfacing in the first few minutes of the gameplay walkthrough at Gamescom. This James Bond was making quips, stepping out of his lane relatively early on, and perhaps fumbling where a more experienced 007 might not. Unfortunately, as the sequence unfolded, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was watching a Hitman game on the big screen. It was also an early build, so a few bugs were present, emotionless NPCs were everywhere, and interactions felt a little flat. And as I said earlier, these are things that the game has a lot of time to iron out. It is a little concerning that the bugs seem to have been very present at this stage of development, but they will likely get fixed up. But reading on, the article then says, it might be obvious at first blush, but both Hitman World of Assassination, the most recent game in the series, and 007 First Light share an engine, Glacier. The visual palette is quite similar, but it goes beyond that, and a lot of the movement, UI, and underlying themes feel as though they've been ripped from Hitman as the IO Interactive team stalked the luxurious gala venue in Slovakia, trying not to arouse suspicion and searching for their target. I felt as though I'd done the same thing 100 times in the last 25 years in Hitman games. What's different is that 007 is a cheeky British chap with a bit more agility than the gruff Agent 47. And I've got to say that while IO Interactive has come out and tried to refute this observation by pointing out the differences between Hitman and 007, if I were them, I would lean into this comparison, because to me, the idea of using James Bond in a Hitman game sounds like something right up my alley, and if it weren't for the game's obvious pandering to the progressive movement, I would be very excited to play it. Not $300 excited, mind you. Apparently, there is a deluxe version of the game that comes with a replica golden gun that costs $300, which is bloody ridiculous if you ask me. But otherwise, the game is $70, and I've got to say, if it wasn't for the character designs, this is a game that I would champion the hell out of. But as Grums said over on X, yeah, they trashed it with the AAA ugly stick. This isn't Bond. Bond is all about attractive females. Doing this is deliberate and off-theme for the franchise. Frankly, this to me is almost as bad as putting out a gender-swapped version of Bond like they've been talking about doing for years now. It might seem nitpicky, and I respect anyone else's decision to go out and buy this game and overlook these characters if you can, but personally, I have a zero-tolerance policy for this sort of thing. I did not support Star Wars Outlaws for this reason, for the fact that they intentionally made an ugly-ass female character. I didn't support Dragon Age the Veilguard because of their ugly characters, and of course that game had all kinds of things that were terrible within it, beyond the ugly characters, but I also won't support this game either. Maybe someday I will pick it up when it's in a bargain bin at a secondhand game store, but I'm gonna leave it there. Do you plan to grab 007 First Light, or are you like me, where you can't overlook the characters? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.